Have you ever heard a noise in the middle of the night, thinking there are robbers breaking and smashing your things? You instantly got up from bed, and when you opened up the light, you saw a fast thing, like a flash, moving around. Then you suddenly realize it's just your cat. At 2 o'clock in the morning, the familiar layout of a suburban home shifts. The living room rug becomes a dark savanna, and the hallway turns into a narrow canyon. From the bedroom doorway, a half-awake owner stands as a silent witness to a sudden, startling transition. The companion animal that spent 14 hours sleeping on a sunny windowsill has mobilized. The cat moves with a quiet, deliberate tension, low to the floor, belly nearly brushing the carpet. To the drowsy observer, this sudden shift feels like a break from reality. The animal appears to be going wild, reacting to invisible signals and chasing unseen forces through the dark. In the heavy silence of a sleeping house, every single action is magnified. A soft paw hitting the floorboard sounds like a heavy blow. The rustle of a discarded paper bag mimics the sound of an intruder. With eyes wide and pupils fully dilated to capture the faint glow of appliances, the cat treats the domestic environment as wild, unpredictable terrain. The kitchen island is a high-altitude lookout. The space behind the television is a dense thicket. Without warning, the stalking posture breaks. The animal sprints, sliding sideways across the hardwood, claws scrambling for traction before launching over the back of the sofa. The owner watches this erratic display, unable to decipher the rules of the game. There is no obvious logic to the path, no apparent target for the final pounce. It is a performance of pure speed and sudden impact, unfolding in the middle of the night while the rest of the neighborhood sleeps. Before the human can even process the commotion, the shadow is gone, leaving behind only the rhythmic ticking of the wall clock and the mystery of what exactly drives this nocturnal theater. If we track these erratic sprints over days and weeks, a distinct pattern begins to replace the chaos. The middle of the night feels like a random time for an explosion of energy, but a closer look at the clock reveals something else. These disturbances do not happen by chance. They follow a hidden, internal schedule that remains completely invisible to the sleeping household. A cat can spend hours curled in a quiet corner, seemingly lost in heavy sleep. Then, without any warning, the animal flips from absolute rest into hitch-speed motion. But this sudden shift is not arbitrary. When researchers collect data on indoor cats, they find that these bursts of activity cluster around specific daily transition periods. Instead of random spikes throughout the 24-hour cycle, the peaks of movement form a regular, predictable pattern. The most consistent windows of activity occur at dawn and dusk. Just as the household is winding down for the night, or right before the sun rises, the cat's internal drive spikes. This bimodal rhythm means the animal is operating on a clock that runs completely separate from our own. While humans divide their day into solid blocks of light and dark, sleep and wakefulness, the domestic cat is tuned to the gray spaces in between. This timing provides the first real clue to the mystery. The animal running through the hallways is not experiencing a random malfunction. It is responding to a precise internal prompt that triggers at twilight. This realization changes how we view the nighttime chaos. It is not a series of isolated events, but rather a structured routine. It forces us to look past the domestic routine of our living rooms and ask a more fundamental question about the companion sharing our homes. What kind of creature is built to wake up and hunt precisely when the rest of the world is transitioning to sleep? The biological clock of the domestic cat is tuned to a specific ecological niche. Contrary to popular belief, cats are not actually nocturnal. While we often group them with owls and bats as creatures of the deep night, science places Felis catus in a distinct category known as crepuscular. This term describes animals that find their evolutionary advantage in the dim, transitional light of dawn and dusk. Classical animal behavior research, including the pioneering work of ethologist Paul Leyhausen, established that wild-type felines organize their daily lives around these low-light periods. In these brief twilight windows, the ambient light is perfectly balanced. It is dark enough for a stealth predator to remain unseen, yet bright enough for their highly specialized eyes to track movement with lethal precision. Feline biologist John Bradshaw notes that this timing is entirely hunting-driven. The animal's natural schedule aligns precisely with the moments their prey is most vulnerable. Modern science confirms this ancient pattern using high-tech tools. In a 2024 study led by researcher Garcia and colleagues, scientists equipped a cohort of 30 domestic cats with triaxial accelerometers to map their daily movements. The data from these tracking devices consistently revealed a bimodal activity pattern, two clear, energetic spikes rather than a single, continuous block of nighttime wakefulness. One surge occurs around 6 in the morning, and the second peaks near 6 in the evening. Certified feline behaviorist Dr. Mikel Delgado explains that crepuscular behavior is essentially a survival strategy. In the wild, a cat's prey, primarily small rodents and birds, are most active and mobile during twilight. Therefore, the feline internal clock evolved to deliver surges of energy precisely when the hunting is best. Within a modern home, however, this evolutionary clock collides with human engineering. A artificial Leitsting extends the perceived day, while variable feeding routines throw off natural rhythms. When an owner provides a late-night meal or leaves bright lights on past midnight, the cat's internal clock shifts. The biological peak that should have occurred at dusk slides deeper into the night, transforming a natural twilight instinct into a sudden, disruptive midnight sprint across the living room floor. The domestic cat, Felis catus, carries an ant-ski-ant genetic blueprint shaped over thousands of years in the arid scrublands of Africa. Its direct ancestor, the African wildcat, Felis libica, survives by patrolling dry grasslands under the cover of dim light. This low-light activity is an inherited trait rather than a habit learned within the safety of modern homes. The late-night energy burst is a direct link to this wild lineage, carrying the survival strategies of the savanna into the living room. In the wild, feline predation is highly structured, following a specific 5-part motor sequence: orient, stalk, chase, capture, and kill. Every muscle, nerve, and sensory organ is tuned to execute these steps in rapid succession. For the ancestor of the domestic cat, mastering this motor pattern was a daily necessity, refined by natural selection to boost hunting success while conserving energy. In a modern home, where meals arrive in bowls and predators are absent, this ancestral sequence still demands a physical outlet. Young kittens practice these precise motor patterns during early play, honing their coordination by stalking toys, pouncing on dust motes, and chasing littermates. This juvenile play acts as an essential rehearsal for adulthood, firmly embedding the hunting sequence into the feline brain. As cats mature, this ingrained drive remains fully active. Without real prey to target, the nervous system accumulates energy until it eventually overflows. This sudden, spontaneous release of the predatory program is what behaviorists call a frenetic random activity period. When a house cat suddenly sprints across the carpet, leaps onto the arm of a chair, and pounces on a patch of light, they are demonstrating a highly organized sequence. The hallway has simply become a modern stage for an ant-ski-ant survival program. The cat is executing the same chase and capture sequence that kept its ancestors alive on the African savanna, driven by a biological inheritance that thousands of years of domestication have failed to erase. In the scientific community, this sudden explosion of nighttime energy has a formal name, a frenetic random activity period, or FRAP. To the observer, it looks like a temporary loss of sanity. In reality, it is a highly coordinated pH-wisological event. The igenedion of a FRAP requires a specific internal state. Throughout the night, a sleeping cat does not remain in a continuous, deep slumber. Instead, feline sleep is highly fragmented, punctuated by frequent microarousals. During these brief, shallow awakenings, the brain waves shift, creating a temporary window of extreme alertness. If the cat has spent the day resting inside a quiet home, a massive reserve of unused physical energy sits, waiting within the motor circuits of the nervous system. These short nighttime awakenings act as the first turning of the key. But the engine still needs a sensory spark to fire. That spark comes from the domestic environment, often in a form completely imperceptible to a sleeping human. The felon visual system is highly specialized to detect motion in near darkness. A minute shift in the ambient light, perhaps the sweep of a car headlight through a window, or the shadow of a passing moth, can trigger the event. The cat's superior colliculus, the brain region that maps sensory inputs, registers these small changes instantly, priming a rapid, sprint-like response. Once the sensory cue hits the brain, the biological response is immediate. The nervous system undergoes a rapid endocrine cascade. A sudden surge of adrenaline and noradrenaline floods the bloodstream, while melatonin, the hormone that typically promotes rest, is temporarily suppressed. This chemical reaction prepares the large skeletal muscles of the hind legs for maximum exertion in a fraction of a second. The brain bypasses conscious decision-making entirely. The sensory signal travels directly to the brainstem and spinal cord, activating central pattern generators. This is why the burst begins and ends so abruptly that it feels unreal to the watching owner. The cat does not decide to initiate a run. The body simply releases the accumulated pressure of the predatory drive. Within seconds, the physical discharge is complete, leaving the muscles temporarily depleted and the cat ready to return to a restful state. At 2 a.m, the silence of a house is often broken by a single, demanding vocalization. The sleepy owner, desperate for rest, rolls out of bed, walks to the kitchen, and drops a handful of kibble into a bowl. In that brief, half-awake moment, a powerful behavioral cycle is sealed. The owner believes they are solving a temporary problem, but the cat is learning a permanent lesson. Disruption brings a reward. This late-night exchange shows how the domestic environment is never just a passive background. The daily habits of the human occupants actively shape feline behavior. When an owner answers a midnight sprint or a vocalization with food, play, or eye contact, they are establishing a clear transaction. The cat's internal clock is highly flexible, and repeated rewards at irregular hours quickly teach the predator which times of day are the most profitable. Many people struggle to separate natural feline behavior from human emotions. Feline behaviorist Dr. Mikkel Delgado points out that owners often interpret a midnight meow as loneliness, boredom, or starvation. This anthropomorphic thinking leads to what behaviorists call guilt feeding. Instead of ignoring the noise and letting the cat settle back to sleep, the owner offers a late-night snack. A 2023 Mayo Clinic study on sleep quality found that 41% of pet owners who experienced sleep disruptions blamed attention-seeking behaviors from their pets, with many admitting they routinely handed out treats to quiet them down. Inconsistent human schedules make this problem worse. When an owner works late, changes shifts, or keeps irregular bedtimes on weekends, the cat lacks a stable structure for the day. Without a predictable daytime routine, the animal begins to expect interaction and activity after dark. The sudden runs through the living room are no longer just a biological impulse. They are a response to a household that has accidentally trained the cat to stay awake. By looking closely at these nightly disruptions, owners are often looking at a mirror of their own daily habits, discovering that the secret to a quiet night lies in changing their own reactions. The solution to the midnight sprint lies in reshaping the indoor territory to match the predator's biological clock. An indoor cat spending all day in a quiet, empty apartment behaves like a pressure cooker. When the daytime environment lacks active physical outlets, the ancestral hunting drive has nowhere to go. This unused kinetic energy sits in the motor circuits of the nervous system, waiting for a spark. To drain this reservoir before bedtime, owners can implement a structured twilight ritual. A short, highly active play session of 5 to 15 minutes at dusk mimics the natural hunting peaks of wild felines. Using feather wands or toys that move like prey, the owner becomes the guide for a simulated hunt. This allows the cat to run, jump, and execute the physical sequence of stalking, chasing, and pouncing. This structured evening outlet safely exhausts the large skeletal muscles, preparing the cat's body for a rest phase. Immediately after the mock prey is captured, the next step is resource delivery. Serving the cat's main dinner directly after this play session completes the predatory loop. In the wild, a successful chase ends in consumption. By feeding the cat immediately after intense activity, the brain triggers a natural physiological shift. The endocrine system transitions from the high adrenaline hunt phase into a quiet, digestion-focused state of grooming and sleep. For cats that continue to forage during the night, PU-zezol feeders and timed feeding tools turn mealtime into a mental task. Instead of inhaling kibble from a static bowl, the cat must slide, nudge, and solve simple physical mechanisms to retrieve individual pieces. This provides a predictable night shift job, keeping the mind occupied and simulating the foraging behavior of wild ancestors. Managing this behavioral shift requires strict discipline from the human occupant. The rules of engagement must be clear. When the midnight sprint begins, the most effective response is absolute silence. The bedroom door should remain closed, and any nighttime meow or frantic scratch must be met with total indifference. No scolding, no getting out of bed, and no eye contact. Even negative attention acts as a reward to an active animal, refreshing the cycle for another night. Punishment, such as shouting or spraying water, only increases fear and frustration, damaging the social bond without addressing the underlying physical drive. In clinical trials, this simple shift in routine yielded immediate results. When researchers at the University of Lincoln tested this play and feed protocol across 15 households, they recorded a drop in nightly sprints from an average of over 4 runs down to just 1.6. Similarly, a UC Davis study found that establishing this predictable twilight pattern gave owners an average of 90 minutes of extra, uninterrupted sleep each night. A quiet home is not achieved by fighting feline nature, but by directing it. By structuring the evening to satisfy the predator, the living room ceases to be a midnight savanna, allowing both cat and owner to rest. While a high-energy burst at twilight is typically a healthy outlet for ancestral instincts, a sudden, permanent shift in a cat's established sleep and wake pattern requires a different kind of observation. There is a distinct line where normal feline play ends and clinical concern begins. Recognizing this boundary depends largely on the age of the animal and the specific physical changes that accompany these nighttime episodes. In kittens under 6 months of age, frequent high-intensity runs throughout the day and night are standard developmental milestones. This juvenile carryover is simply the practice of motor patterns needed for survival. However, when an adult cat, particularly one 10 years of age or older, suddenly starts pacing the hallways or crying out in the dark, the behavior is rarely about play. For senior felines, nighttime pacing, apparent disorientation, and persistent vocalization often stem from physical discomfort. Chronic pain from osteoarthritis, which worsens when the joints cool down at night, frequently drives an older cat to wander restlessly rather than rest. Alternatively, these symptoms can point toward feline cognitive dysfunction syndrome, a condition akin to dementia. Affected cats often lose their spatial awareness in the dark, leading to distress, aimless wandering, and loud, repetitive crying that breaks the silence of the home. Another significant medical concern is feline phipthyroidism, a metabolic disorder caused by an overactive thyroid gland. This condition floods the cat's system with excess thyroid hormone, artificially driving up their energy levels. An owner might observe an older cat suddenly developing intense, kitten-like energy, sprinting through the house at 2 a.m. When this unexpected surge of hyperactivity is paired with weight loss despite an increased appetite, it serves as a classic clinical red flag. To diagnose these underlying issues, veterinarians rely on systematic diagnostic workups. A basic wellness exam for any senior cat displaying altered nighttime patterns typically includes a physical assessment for joint pain, cognitive evaluations, and a comprehensive blood panel to check thyroid function, specifically measuring total T4 serum levels. When nighttime disturbances emerge suddenly or persist despite a structured environment, the solution does not lie in behavioral modification. These behavioral shifts are pH-wysical symptoms. A timely veterinary consultation remains the most effective way to address the root of the change, ensuring that a restless cat receives the targeted medical care required to restore comfort and quiet to the household. The sprint begins with an explosive push from the hind legs, sending the animal hurtling down the hallway. A sharp, low-to-the-ground turn around the kitchen doorframe displays remarkable athletic precision. Claws grip the fabric of the rug before the body launches upward, clearing the arm of the sofa in a single, effortless arc. This explosive movement is a highly coordinated, ancestral sequence played out in real time. Every sprint, pounce, and hard corner reads as a patterned, healthy release of physical pressure. The living room serves as a modern savanna, and the household pet is executing the physical program that defines its species. Then comes the sudden halt. The animal freezes, sitting completely still in the middle of the carpet. The head tilts and the eyes open wide, the pupils expanding until they swallow the iris. To a human observer, this wide-eyed stare looks like a moment of sudden derangement, a sign that the cat has lost its connection to the surrounding world. In truth, this intense expression represents peak physiological arousal. The brain is processing visual data at an extraordinary rate, mapping every tiny vibration, shadow, and sound in the dimly lit room. The cat is FIPR-focused, fully immersed in a simulated hunt where every dust mote is a target and every hallway breeze is a cue. What looked like madness is actually the sensory apparatus of a master predator operating at maximum capacity. As the sequence of sprints and pounces escalates, the initial confusion of the sleepy household fades. The mystery of the midnight run is replaced by a clear-eyed recognition of what is truly happening. We are observing the perfect intersection of history and biology. This nocturnal theater is a natural discharge of life force. It is the willed ancestor sleeping inside the domestic companion, briefly waking up to claim the dark. To capture these intimate moments of feline behavior, this documentary relies on the everyday observations of cat owners. The low light and night vision clips featured here were submitted by families who captured their pets' spontaneous nighttime activities. Each piece of owner-submitted footage underwent a basic safety screening to ensure the home environment was secure, the owners had provided a proper release, and the animals were behaving naturally. No cats were stressed, coerced, or staged for harm to produce these scenes. By preserving the authenticity of these moments, we can appreciate the raw, unscripted energy of the domestic predator as it navigates its modern territory. The next time the floorboards creak at 2 a.m. and a shadow darts past the doorway, there is no need for alarm. The house is quiet, the world is asleep, and a cat is simply running the ancient pathways of its mind. A pale band of morning light creeps across the wooden floorboards, illuminating the exact spot where a midnight sprint abruptly ended. The living room rug, which hours ago served as a wild savanna, is once again just a piece of household furniture. In the center of a warm patch of sunlight lies a soft, motionless shape. The domestic hunter has returned to its favorite daytime state, curled into a tight, quiet crescent. With its head tucked beneath a soft paw, the animal sleeps with absolute stillness. The rapid breathing, the twitching muscles, and the wide, dilated eyes of the night hunt have vanished completely. They are replaced by the slow, rhythmic rise and fall of a deep, undisturbed slumber that will likely last for hours. This peaceful morning scene places the overnight frenzy into sharp relief. The storm, so intense and disruptive in the dark, is revealed as a temporary, natural release of energy. There is no trace of malice or broken behavior in the sleeping animal. Looking at the quiet form bathing in the early sun, It is difficult to connect this gentle companion with the wild shadow that scrambled across the hallway. The transition from midnight chaos to daytime calm is complete. The ancient hunter, having run the long hidden pathways of its mind, is content to spend the day resting on a sunny sill. The home returns to its familiar, quiet rhythm, while the sleeping pet waits for the next turn of the twilight clock, when the wild spirit will briefly wake to claim the dark once more. Today, our modern homes provide safety, yet they host an anscient predator that refuses to be fully tamed. Those midnight sprints aren't madness. They are the wild heartbeat of an evolutionary survivor echoing through our hallways. When we accept their biology instead of fighting it, we learn to share our lives with the untamed. How does your little apex predator rule the night? Let us know in the comments and subscribe for